What's going on, everybody? This is a Cincy fan talking with LP. Welcome to another episode. Glad everybody stopped by to check me out again. Definitely appreciate that. Shout out to everybody listening for the first time. Glad you stopped by. Appreciate it. Hope you come back again and again and again. Check out any of the past episodes. Check out anything that you missed. Hope you like it. Definitely appreciate you stopping past. Click on anything on the link tree, anything that tickles your fancy. Click on all of that stuff. I try to keep it diverse as always. Anything that you agree with or disagree with, click on the voicemail link. Let me know. You might find your way on the show. We can go ahead and chop it up. Hit me up on Twitter. That's a Cincy fan talking. That's all one word. Leave off the G at the end. Always willing to talk. Positive, negative feedback. Always willing. As long as you're not rude. I just can't tolerate the rudeness. I'm always saying that on each and every show. Rudeness does not get a reply. So that's what it is. So I'll dive into a little bit of sports with this, but I guess you can call this a little bit philosophical. And it always touches on sports because for me, sports is kind of the thing that ties everybody together. Everybody has some kind of sports tale that they can tie in with what's going on with them personally. Most people do anyway. That's why when I started this, it had like a sports theme to it. I've kind of branched off from there, but everything that I do kind of sort of has a sports theme to it. This will kind of sort of, but for me, this is more philosophical. So, me being a teacher, I don't do much in the summertime. I'm really not doing anything. And since I'm a teacher, I've been in the house since March. Really haven't been doing much of anything other than teaching and staying in the house. That's pretty much been my life since March. So I've been watching more CNN than I care to admit. Way too much CNN. Way too much MSNBC. I feel like I'm 65 years old right now. Like, for real. Way too much. Diving into a little bit of the Fox because you got to know what they doing on the other side. You got to know what's up. Hey, crazy over there. Real talk. So, I'm watching CNN and I'm watching, who is it? Yeah, I'm watching Dr. Fauci give an update on the madness that's going on as far as the coronavirus. And as he's talking, I'm listening to Rand Paul, the senator out of Kentucky, give the rebuttal to what he's talking about. And as Rand Paul is talking, I'm just staring at this guy in amazement because what he's saying is basically he's coming at Dr. Fauci like, you're not giving us any hope in this situation. He's like, I understand what you're saying, but you're not giving us any hope. He literally said, we need some hope. You're not giving us any hope. And I'm just kind of looking like, is that Dr. Fauci's job? Is it his job to give you, Senator Rand Paul, hope in this situation? I thought it would be Senator Rand Paul's job to get the information, give the information out to his constituents, and then deliver the hope. I didn't think it was Dr. Fauci, the scientist's job. I thought he was the facts man. So this question popped in my head. Do you want somebody in this situation to be an optimist or a realist? What do we want from our leaders? Do we want optimism or realism? And I started kind of applying this to myself when I'm in front of my classroom. What do they want from me? What do my students want from me? And I started thinking to myself, what do they expect? What do the students say to me? And unabashedly, they always say the same thing. They say they appreciate the fact that I'm honest with them. I give them the facts. I tell them honestly what's going on. Look, this is your grade. This is what's going on with you right now. It's not looking good. Sorry, champ. This is a D you're staring at. But after they get the realism, here comes the optimism. Any good teacher will tell you, you basically get a criticism sandwich. You get, hey, you're doing a good job. Then you get the criticism. You need to step this up. And then you get the good news at the end. Here's what you can do to make this better. I feel like our sports leagues aren't doing that. I feel like our government isn't doing that. I feel like they're giving us too much hope and not enough realism. I feel like our government, what's basically happening is, hey, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. But we're looking at all of this data and it's horrible. And we don't have enough leaders that's telling us, look, everything's screwed up. It's jacked up. Here's what we need to do to get better. I feel like, and this is crazy that I'm saying this, I feel like Mike DeWine here in Ohio actually is doing a really good job in just giving us the honest facts. Way back in March, he just basically said, look, I'm going to shut this stuff down. And this was when the numbers were like ridiculously low. Everything was like super low. We were looking like, why is everything shutting down? And he just called a spade a spade. He was like, look, we're going to shut this stuff down. And he literally said this in a press conference. He said, we're going to do this stuff and everybody's going to say that we're overreacting. And the decisions that we're making now are going to look crazy to you now, but people are going to say later that we did the right thing. He said this in a press conference, and he was right. He made decisions that looked ridiculous at first, and then they just made common sense later. It's kind of like, and this is going to sound kind of weird. It seems like I'm going off in a tangent, but it makes perfect sense when you think about it. It's like I never understood how somebody would stay with somebody else that cheated on them. I never understood that. I'm like, when I was like younger, I'm like, dude, you got cheated on, break up with him. But as I got older, I kind of understood, like, okay, this person cheated on you. They came to you and they said, look, this is what happened. I made a horrible mistake. And the other person was like, okay, you messed up. And they dealt with it. There was not much of a cover up. And they just dealt with it and they moved on. I feel like people can deal with a harsh truth much better than they can deal with a lingering lie. People cannot deal with a long lingering lie. And I feel like that's what's happening in America right now. It's happening with government. And if you look closely, it's what's happening in our sports leagues. There's just these long lingering lies. And they're just, people just won't give us the honest truth. If people just came out and just said, look, these sports leagues, they aren't going to happen. We're just going to have to wrap this up until the spring. People would be upset and people would get over it and people would be ready for the spring. But instead, what's happening is there's just this long road to what's inevitable. You have preseason games getting canceled left and right. You have college football games getting canceled left and right. You have all of these coronavirus cases popping up in the NBA when they could easily just say, look, this isn't working out the way we think it's going to work out. It's not happening. So instead of leading you on, we're just going to say, look, it's not happening. We're going to try this again in a couple of months. I guarantee you, Americans will be upset and then they would get over it. People do not like cover ups. You've heard this so many times. It's not the lie, it's the cover up. And I feel like that's what I've learned as I've gotten older. If you tell anybody something just straight up, if you give them the harsh truth, they can deal with it. They won't like it, but you're being upfront. People respect upfront people. They just respect it. They respect realism. People don't respect optimism without the realism attached. And I feel like that's what Rand Paul was missing in that whole thing. I don't think, I won't say Republicans, because I feel like some Republicans get it. There are a few that get it. But I feel like a lot of government officials, they don't get it. Optimism without realism attached to it is just hope. What are we going to do with hope? Like, hope is what my 7-year-old has. She has a lot of hope. But even she'll tell you, you give her some hope, but if you don't have anything attached at the end, she's going to be pretty upset with you. I feel like that's what we're getting. We're getting a lot of optimism, but we're not getting a lot of realism. And that's happening in sports, and it's happening in government. It's happening a whole lot. And I feel like we need officials and we need sports leagues to just step up and say, look, this is what's happening. These coronavirus cases are spiking. It's horrible. We need to wear a mask when we go out, and we need to social distance. And now it's a law. People will be upset, but they'll get over it. They'll have to get over it. And as always, and teachers will tell you this, there's always going to be some people that's just not going to do it. We'll call them the talented 10th. They're just not going to do it. You need to have a plan in place for those people. But everybody's not going to do what you say. It's just not how America works. So you need to have a plan in place for those people. But you can't mess up society because a few people aren't going to get along. It just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, that's my spiel on optimism versus realism. I feel like optimism is great. I mean, I end every segment that I do. I end every podcast. I end every class with the saying life is good. I mean, I'm an optimist. But at the same time, you have to be a realist as well. You can't just say, hey, I hope everything's going to go great. You have to have a plan. You can't be a grown-up without a plan. That's just ridiculous. I mean, it really is. We're going to hop into another segment. So, pay some bills. We'll be right back. Cincy Fan Talking with LP. Check you out in a second. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to a Cincy Fan Talking with LP. Appreciate y'all hanging with me for another segment. Happy 4th to everybody that does the whole 4th of July thing. Our family personally, we're not doing that. That's not really our thing. Honestly, that hasn't ever really been our thing. I can remember for years and years and years us not really being that family. That just hasn't been us. I come from a super large family, 6 uncles, 4 aunts. So 11 total that my grandmother had. Um, as you hear more and more podcasts from yours truly, you'll hear about all of them. I got plenty of stories about all of them. They'll trip you out. But we've never done that as a family, and we're not out here with the black fist. We're not out here. We're not really doing all of that. But my uncle, he went off to Saudi Arabia and fought in the Gulf War, and he always told me that he did that, and he did that to let us know that we're allowed to celebrate and you know show show ourselves and demonstrate the way that we choose. As a family, he always taught us that. So when we're out here not really celebrating the fourth with flags and stuff like that and not really doing all the big demonstrations, it's basically us saying that we weren't free on July 4th, 1776. That's really all we're saying. And it's not us being angry about it. It's just a fact. We don't want to celebrate something that was signed and we were still not recognized as people. Like it doesn't make me feel good to wave a flag and say God bless America and all of that stuff when I know for a fact that people signed that and I wasn't really deemed a person. Like it doesn't make me feel good to like celebrate that. Whereas I can easily celebrate Juneteenth and know for a fact that I was considered free. Like that's literally my freedom that I'm celebrating on Juneteenth. So I will much rather celebrate Juneteenth than I would the 4th of July. And it doesn't mean that I won't gather with my family or something like that, but it's definitely not the big hubbub that it would be for Juneteenth. And that's really just my stance on that. Some people might make it a big deal, and some people might be like, "Well, you don't love America." And I mean, I appreciate a lot of the things America has done for me. I really do. But on the other hand, I do realize that America has done some things that doesn't make me feel too happy. And I feel like some people don't appreciate that. Some people don't want to hear that. And I don't think that's cool. Until America's really able to have a conversation about that, I feel like America should respect the fact that it's some holidays that we'll want to sit out on. So that's just how I feel about that. So happy 4th to anybody that's celebrating the 4th, because like me and my family always say, we're not disrespecting anybody that wants to celebrate the 4th. Like it is your God-given right as an American to celebrate whatever you want to celebrate. Just like it's your God-given right to not celebrate whatever you don't want to celebrate. I feel like people need to respect that. So happy 4th to anybody that's kicking it on the 4th. And to anybody that's kind of laying back and, just doing your thing, like to us, do you out here. So, and that's my stance on that. I'll definitely catch up with y'all. When I catch up with y'all, make sure you subscribe. Give me 5 stars. However it goes on the Apple Podcast. Let me know what you think about it. Find me on Twitter. That's Cincy Fan Talking. Leave off the G. Follow me so you can catch the next podcast. But until then, as always, life is good. Peace out.